You're listening to Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill Gaming Podcast. Here's your host, John Wall.
It's August 22nd, 2024, and welcome to another episode of Midlife Side Quest, the Over the Hill video game podcast. My name is John Wall, and every Thursday morning I bring you the latest video game impressions, industry news, and tales of a Gen X geek delivered to you in about 15 minutes. And to ensure that you never miss an episode, you should go and subscribe to the show, which is available on all major platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And it would be great if you left a review while you're there to really help spread the word about the show. I am happy that you've tuned in today, and not just because I'm drinking Moscow mules tonight, but because on this episode, I'm going to be talking about Mika and the Witch's Mountain. But first, I'm sending out this week's positive vibes to Tokyo Game Life. Tokyo Game Life is a podcast that focuses on all of the video game related things and oftentimes Nintendo specific things going on in Japan's capital city. In addition to the podcast, I personally enjoy following them on Threads to see cool pictures of what's going on in Japan. They post everything from the latest Japanese exclusive Club Nintendo merchandise to a pop-up Dragon Quest carnival in Yokohama. There's always something rad to see, and they're sharing it on Threads. And for someone who is currently planning a trip to Japan, it gives me great ideas for things I want to try and see. So kudos to Tokyo Game Life. Go give them a follow and subscribe to their podcast. I'm not sure what it is, but something happened this summer where my daughter Sam has been playing a ton of console games. Typically, she's played mostly PC games like Roblox or The Sims, but while on summer break, she has been just plowing through the Game Pass catalog and playing games like Spiritfarer, Little Kitty Big City, Flock, and Tchia. So since she was so into playing console games all of a sudden, I showed her some trailers for upcoming games, and there was one that immediately jumped out at her: Mika and the Witch's Mountain. As a big fan of Kiki's delivery service, she saw a cute witch flying around on her broom delivering packages and was sold. So last weekend, we jumped into the game together to see if it could live up to one of her favorite animated movies. So you play as the title character Mika, a young girl who has traveled to an island to attend a magical school and to learn to be a witch. When she arrives, she makes her way to the top of the island and meets the professor, who, in a stunning display of child abuse, pushes Mika off the edge of a cliff as a test to see if she'll be able to fly back up on her broom. Wow. Miraculously, Mika does not break her back when she falls to the beach below, but she does break her broom, so now she's got to visit the nearby town to try and find a way to get back up that mountain. In town, she meets some of the villagers like Allegra, the town handy person who helps to temporarily patch up your broom, and Gref, the slightly shady owner of the local delivery service. And this is where you'll be introduced to the main gameplay loop. In order to try and get back to the top of the mountain, you need to get a new broom, which means you need money, which means you need a job. So you start working for Gref, delivering packages to the folks all over the island. Once you get assigned a delivery, you'll pick up the package and try to get it to the recipient as quickly as possible. While you could, just carry the package there on foot if you wanted to, that would probably take way too long. So you take to the skies on your broom and zoom over the rooftops and the trees. In addition to how quickly you make your delivery, you'll also be graded on the condition the package arrives in. For instance, bumping into buildings can damage the item, while some packages aren't allowed to get wet. So getting a good review from your customers will earn you coins, which then you can spend on things like new outfits and keychains to dangle from your broom. And that's kind of the game in a nutshell. It's Fetch Quest the game. Grab an item, deliver it to a villager, and repeat. It's not the most complicated of scenarios, so your enjoyment is mostly going to come down to how much you enjoy flying around this world and interacting with the people. And I think the flying part is actually pretty fun. When you start off with your repaired broom, you won't be able to fly super fast or high, but as you trade it in, those abilities will improve, and the island is full of wind currents that will give you an extra boost of speed or send you up higher into the air to reach new areas. I don't know if a lot of people played it, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of the game A Short Hike. If you haven't played that, maybe check it out. It's not super deep, but it's pleasant to just fly around the island, helping people out. And in between your magical FedEx duties, there are collectibles to look for, like tarot cards, and there's other secrets to find. So it won't always just be going back and forth between point A and point B. You can explore and take detours and find other things hidden in the world to keep you busy. When Sam tried it out, it did take her a few minutes to get the hang of the flying controls. They can be a little bit tricky, but soon enough, she was, zipping all over the island with ease. And honestly, she just kind of enjoyed flying all over the place and talking to people. Pretty soon, she actually became reluctant to pass the controller over to me to let me play some. I kind of had to, fight her for the controller. And I think that'll kind of be the core audience for this game. I think more casual type players and definitely the younger crowd. Not that I didn't enjoy my time with it. It's super charming, but it's just a bit on the simple side for me. I think some more interesting platforming or skill-based flying challenges would have given me a little bit more to chew on. As it is, though, Mika and the Witch's Mountain is a cute and colorful world to play around in. It's got some nice Wind Waker-style visuals and lots of things to collect while you explore the island. It probably will skew more to that younger audience, but that's totally fine. My daughter isn't always the biggest gamer, and I appreciate a game that caters to her likes and tries to appeal to that next generation of player. I've talked a bit recently about the health problems that I've been having and the physical challenges that it's created. But a part of it that I haven't really discussed, and something that I think is important to talk about, is the effect that being sick and illness can have on your mental health. When I was really sick and I was going in and out of the hospital repeatedly, I got pretty low emotionally. I felt weak and helpless and dealing with the sickness for weeks on end and eventually months, I fell into a depression. I remember one evening just breaking down in front of my wife and crying. It was just too much for me. It just was overwhelming. And thankfully, I have the most amazing wife in the world, and she was remarkably supportive. And she also insisted that I speak to my doctor about this. I was hesitant at first because I didn't want to admit how much of a hit my mental health had taken, but she wouldn't let me ignore it. So at my next appointment, we discussed it, and I went on an antidepressant, which I've been on since, and it's been very helpful. I know for a lot of people, myself included, it's tough to be vulnerable and admit that you need that kind of help. I wanted to be strong and show that I could get through this thing. But just like you shouldn't ignore an infection or other physical ailment, you shouldn't ignore when your mental health is suffering. It's not that different in a lot of ways. And I know not everyone is lucky enough to have an awesome wife who sees what's going on and can give you that push to get help. So for today, I'm going to be your awesome wife and say that if you're struggling, if you think you're depressed or dealing with something else which is taking a toll on your mental health, please tell your doctor about it and get the help that you need. Admitting that you're not okay is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. So on that note, the last question for Polling at Threads was, what was your go-to video game magazine? It's a weird transition, I know. Most of us grew up reading them, and sadly, with the death of Game Informer, there just aren't that many left. 38% of you said that Game Informer was that go-to magazine, and I'm right there with you, I think. EGM and Nintendo Power both got 24% of the vote, and Game Pro grabbed 14%. In the comments, though, there was some love shown for Tips and Tricks, PC Gamer, and OXM. Lots of great memories with those magazines, especially in the pre-internet era. So for this week's question, I want to know, which is your favorite Square Enix RPG series? And you can choose between Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, Kingdom Hearts, or Chrono Trigger / Cross. Sorry, Octopath Traveler, you just missed the cut. Go visit Midlife SideQuest on Threads after the show to cast your vote, and I'll share the results on next week's episode. Thank you so much for listening to Midlife SideQuest. I appreciate you making time in your day to hang out with me. You can catch a new episode of the show every Thursday morning wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review while you're there. And you can follow me on Threads by looking for Midlife SideQuest if you'd like to chat. Until next week, be well and happy gaming.